Chapter 3 is a pretty interesting chapter. It covers ethics, privacy, and information security. One of the interesting pieces here is there's a discussion of different data breaches. So you'll want to take a look at some of these examples that are in the book. Of course, from all the examples, we always learn from everyone's mistakes. And typically, and unfortunately, a lot of times it's the mistakes that's the best teacher, because we may not know exactly where the holes are, exactly how people get in, or how they hack in. But when something is left open and it hits one place, the rest of us really jump in and realize where the problem is to try to fix it. One of the most important things that I want to mention here, the text talks about privacy and information security. Privacy, there's a lot going on with this right now, just with President Obama making an executive order that within the first year they're going to shut down Guantanamo Bay. That's pointing at some of the privacy issues. One of the problems with privacy is there's this continuum. On one side is the individual's right to privacy, and on the other side is the public's right to know. So if there are people who, for example, those who were in prison in Guantanamo Bay, if they are supposed terrorists, most of us would like to think that the government is watching their every move, because we want them to watch them to protect us. We think that the community and the people's right to know and the right to safety and security is greater than that individual's right to privacy. But when some of the things that the government is doing begins to look like Big Brother, these attempts to watch the terrorist begin to invade on everyone else's privacy, how much privacy do we have left, as the question asks here? For example, you think about when you go to the airport. Haven't been to these, but I've seen them in magazines and read about them online. They have these x-ray machines at airports that you can opt into right now. You can go through them rather than the rest of security. But they are almost full-blown x-ray machines, so that they're able to see details of your body underneath your clothes. Now that's pretty much an invasion of privacy. We wouldn't just strip down to go through the airport, but that's pretty much what that x-ray machine does to you. But then again, it's done under the name of providing security and safety to the rest of the public. So that's a big question as far as privacy goes. So privacy and security is a big deal. There's a lot in this chapter on both of these. I want you to read through it, but let me skim down here. There's a chart, this one right here on security threats. I want you to be familiar with this picture, and let me see if I can zoom in on it. That's a little bit better, but it's still not great. You just have to look at this in the text, and when you can pull up the PowerPoint slides and get a better look at it, it shows you the different security threats from the inside and the outside. This is a different issue than privacy, even though it relates to privacy, because you are, with your security measures, you're protecting the privacy of your consumers and your employees. But some of the threats from the outside, obviously there's things like natural disasters, floods, storms, fires, things like that. Well, fire may or may not be a natural disaster. It could be a man-made disaster. Power outages, accidents, things are going to happen. You've got to protect from that as much as possible. To do that, we lock up our servers and our switches in basements and closets where nobody has access to them, to try to keep people out. They've got special fire equipment in those rooms. You don't put sprinkler systems in the room where your information system is going to be. They use a form of a powder that pretty much sucks the oxygen out of a room, so that way if there is a fire, the fire can't burn without any oxygen. So they use different methods of securing the actual physical hardware. But then there's threats from the inside, threats from the outside of the organization through the internet. Viruses that can come in, denial of service attacks. You'll read about all of these. So there's hardware attacks which could happen to your through natural disasters, floods, storms, and there's man-made attacks, fire, power outages, things like that may or may not be attacks, but they could happen, and they're a threat to security. From the outside, the software attacks are going to be from the internet. From the inside, hardware threats depends on where you've got your information, your technology. People could get in to the wrong room. They might trip over a cable. They might spill their coffee. Anything like that could accidentally happen to a piece of hardware from inside the organization. USB drives are dangerous within organizations because it's easy to pop it in your computer to copy some information off, and then you drop it in your pocket and nobody knows you have it. And so USB drives, there's a lot of organizations that have policies about their people not using these USB drives because it's so easy to grab private information and steal it. Other insiders, consultants that may come in, janitors, could be paid off for accessing information or letting somebody borrow a key. So there's a lot of things that can happen here when you start talking about security to your information system. We're not just talking about firewalls. We're not just talking about user access. There's a whole lot that goes to this providing security to an information system. So it's an interesting chapter. It's an interesting read. You'll learn a lot in it. Some of the things that you probably see on a day-to-day basis in your organizations and your experience, you'll maybe get some real definitions to go with what you're already familiar with. So I hope you enjoy the chapter. If you have any questions, as always, just give me a call or shoot me an email.